Hello and welcome to the 21st Century Writer podcast, where we talk about writing, obviously, about publishing, and most of all about the mindset you need to flourish as an author in the 21st century and in this rapidly changing landscape of getting out books, publishing, and finding readers. I'm Hannah Steenbach. I'm a German author and coach, and my partner in podcasting is...
I'm Diane Patterson. I'm a novelist and blogger, and I live here in California. And this week's topic is reviews and feedback. Now that you're putting your stuff out, people are going to start commenting on it. What does it mean? What should you do? Etc. But first, let's check in and see how everybody's doing. I'm actually going to start this week. Possibly because I got not absolutely nothing done. I did write about 2,000 words.
Yeah.
That's a lot less than I was planning on. But the kids are out of school this week. Hopefully we'll start getting in a routine next week, but this week it's just chaos around here. And yesterday I took my son and several of his friends and my daughter and one of her friends to an amusement park near here named Great America for his birthday party. So that day was completely shot. Yeah, I'm just sitting in the shade the entire time like, oh God. It's so hot here now. It's gone up about 20 degrees in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So I did about 2,000 words, and it's funny. So I've been working on the outline, working on it, feel pretty good about it. I start writing. I say, you know what? I don't need this at all. Let's compress this whole thing down to one scene.
Whoops.
Yeah, outlining. It's there's some trick to it that I'm not getting yet, even with all the stuff that I've written. Oh well.
It's a journey.
Maybe you just have to deal with the fact that there's a way that you do it. But that's okay. I would just like to make a note for the future for myself that when the first week the kids are off school, not much is going to happen. And I need to plan for that in the future. It won't be forever, not going to be home forever. So I just have to enjoy it now. Okay. Hannah.
I didn't do a whole lot. I wanted to write all the time, and I didn't. But I did one thing. I finally sent out my most recent work in progress to my first beta reader. And he's a great beta reader. He's a writer, and he's also an avid reader. And he helped me a lot with the Kraken War. He really put his finger into the weak spots. And I cursed. Back to topic. I cursed when I saw that. I sat down and I thought, how can I make the story better? And I think it got a lot better because of his feedback. So I sent out the current work in progress to him, caught him this morning in Australia. And so I'm waiting for what he says. And I'm really trying to figure out the next steps for what I'm going to do. There's the idea that I might translate my Dragon series into German. I also have pushed the idea of rewriting my German novel a bit further on the back burner because I got stuck in plotting it. Imagine that.
Yeah, this is the one with the sword.
That's the one with the sword.
Dwarven Master Sword, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really, really need to restructure the whole thing in my mind, and it's not coming. It's just not growing. Mm-hmm. Then I thought, for distraction's sake, I could write a little bit in my fan fiction, and I ended up copying an old copy on top of the new one, and I lost 2 scenes, and I kind of stopped my writing for that day.
So I remember the first time I ever heard of the concept of Mercury retrograde. I was on Genie, on the writers forum. Yeah, Genie. Go look that one up. And these other writers started talking about Mercury retrograde, and I started laughing, wondering if they were kidding. And it turned out that no, they were not. They actually planned their time around when Mercury was retrograde.
And it does that a lot.
And it does that a lot. Okay, I'm here in Silicon Valley where there are a lot of electronics and stuff. And let me tell you, if the industry planned their business around Mercury retrograde, nothing would happen. But I got to tell you, everyone I have talked to in the past week is like, nothing is working. Nothing is happening the way it's supposed to. I'm like, I think Mercury is retrograde right now.
Yeah, I think it went back into.
Oh, okay.
Today.
Oh,
And there's still, it's like people say that when it's in retrograde, of course it sort of backtracks, and then it stops doing that. It's just imaginary anyway. It's
a visual illusion, right? Because
it is absolutely an illusion because of the orbit that it has. So it sort of moves backward through the star signs, and then it stops moving backward, and then it starts moving forward again. And they say until it reaches the actual point where it stops moving forward, there's still some effects of the retrograde thing. And so I don't know what to think of it. I think you get what you expect. But
actually, a business coach, Christine Kane, has a really great mantra about that, which is, my intention is stronger than Mercury retrograde.
I love it.
Gotta tell you, man, the past week, so many things. It's like my husband had a blowout and a tire in his car. A couple of other things happened. But that's okay. That's just.
I'm gonna knock on wood, because I think I'm really fairly fine, except for that mess up with the scenes. But
yeah,
I'm telling myself, okay, I get to rewrite them, I get to rethink them, and I'll do them better, and I'll get the Cardinal's voice right anyway.
There was something. There was an interesting discussion I read this morning on the passive voice, where it started on one topic, but it rapidly went into talking about the advent of shorter work as basically publishing of the future. That what Kindle Unlimited has shown is that you can make a fortune writing short stories and novellas. And before we get to this week's topic, I just wanted to ask, have you found this to be true? Or is this something that you have seen?
I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of people going into novella series, into shorter series, especially those who either don't have the time or the ability to write really, really fast. I mean, I know Lindsay Buroker just kind of puts out a novel every, don't ask me, 2 months or something. She has insane writing speed, and those novels are not. They're not lame. They're really, I mean, stuff is happening. She plots them and she writes them, and she's doing it really fast. And even has started doing a novella series, which is kind of sort of edging up to short novel because she can't contain herself. But that's also very, very successful. So I really think novella series are working really well. And they certainly, if you can write them quickly, and you can, I mean, you can like take 3 novellas instead of.
A novella is usually 15,000 or 20,000 words to maybe 35,000, something like that. I'm not sure how many pages that is.
I think it crosses into novel territory around 40,000, 50,000 K.
Yeah, well, I know a novel starts around 45 or 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you write 2 to 3 novellas in the time you can write a novel, and sell these individually, or even stick them up on Kindle Unlimited for borrows, and you make more. If you sell them for 99 cents or $1.99, you make more in a borrow than you make in a sale.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So if you really market those heavily to Kindle Unlimited, and you're fast enough in producing them. I mean, I'm still planning to produce 4 this year, which is still slower than many others do. I really think there's money in it. And I know Amazon loves a series, so if you have a series and you market as such, they have this special part in KDP when you upload it, where you can say this is part of a series and this is book number, whatever. And I think they really take that information and they put it into the recommendations, into the also box, whatever. And from what I hear, again, this is more hearsay than my own experience because I don't have a novel to compare with.
Right.
But I really think it works. And I hear a lot of people say they love it's a quick read. Actually, when I published my first novella, Amazon put it into a special category. They categorized it as a 90-minute read from the page numbers, which is kind of funny.
Oh,
You can
interesting.
actually search for short reads on Amazon, and you can tell it which time you want to spend on a book. So it tells you it's an hour, it's 90 minutes, it's 2 hours, based
Right.
on length, basically. I don't know how they do it. I'm probably reading faster than they think, but that's fascinating. Amazon wouldn't do
In
that.
fact, Amazon knows exactly how fast you're reading, knows how fast I'm reading, knows how fast Joe Blow in Duluth is reading. If you don't know this about Amazon, they keep track of how fast you read a book. They see where you stop. They see if you ever pick it up again. They are keeping very close track of all of that data. They don't let the writers have it, but they're very well aware of how your books are going, or my books and everybody's books are going over with readers who are reading it on Kindle.
That's why I'm sure Amazon is not putting out those categories for nothing. They know the amount of time people like to spend reading their Kindle. So and how soon they sort of get tired of reading a story, and so they can actually cater to that group of buyers and readers.
Yeah. I was reading something this week, and I'll in a different genre than my own, trying to wonder how specific to be. And this is a major publisher book, and boy, this is like swimming upstream without, it's like I could keep swimming or I could get out altogether and go walk somewhere. This is a hard slog, and this is supposed to be a quick, fast read.
Oops.
This is one, it's one darn thing after another, and it's not really building. It's quite frustrating. Oh, look, I'm giving a review of something. And here we go, back on topic. Reviews and feedback. Reviews, couple of things to go over here. Reviews are the lifeblood of the writer. Actually, any creative type who's putting their stuff out in the world. Restaurants, designers, artists, what the heck, doctors. You want to go to a restaurant, you want to check out a car company. What's the first thing you do? You get online and you see what the reviews say. It used to be sort of there was an official gatekeeper of various things. We had the New York Times Book Review. We had Consumer Reports for blenders and microwaves. We had, not Zagat's, not Epicurious, Gourmet magazine, I guess, for restaurant reviews. There were like official gatekeepers. Well, of course, that time is in the past. We now have Yelp and Angie's List and Amazon, where people can go and see immediately what thousands of other people think on what they thought of that mop or that book or that battery. Now, I do that. I immediately go check out the reviews to see what other people think of things. I hate leaving reviews. It's like, oh, that's an awful lot of time. But that's how other people find what works for them. And the theory behind this, and there's a whole mathematical theory behind this, which is borne out by like Rotten Tomatoes or Amazon, which is one person doesn't know jack. Thousands of people in the aggregate have a clue.
Yeah, we call it swarm intelligence.
Yes. Okay. I know that there's some official term for it, but thank you. That's as good as anything else. So these reviews are really important, and we use them as a gatekeeper now. Oh, that book has 200 reviews. A lot of people have looked at that book. That might be worth my time. Or that book doesn't have any reviews. Maybe I'll look for something else. So reviews are important. At the same time, they are misleading. They are, you have no idea who those reviews are from. You can go on a website called Fiverr, which I believe is spelled with 2 R's, and find people who advertise that they will get you dozens of reviews on your Amazon product for however much money. And Amazon is cracking down on those because, hey, Amazon algorithms, but these sites have existed since the day Amazon opened its doors. There are a lot of people offering bulk reviews out there. But also, just because 100,000 people liked a particular book doesn't mean you're going to, right? There's a particular writer who I've been hearing about a lot recently. She said very vaguely, who every single person I've heard referring to this author talks about how amazingly awesome they are and how they're just head and shoulders above everyone else in their genre. And I picked up one of this person's books and went, quoi? Did you guys read the same book I did? Because no. Reviews can also be completely unfair.
Yes.
There will be people who will give you a 1-star review because the download got corrupted, because something happened when they were downloading the book and they decide to take it out on your book. You will get trolls who leave you 1 star because that's just what they do. Everyone needs reviews, but they're very difficult. They're very difficult to take when you see them. So.
And of course, the intuitive thing is that everyone wants the 5-star reviews, the good ones, the glowing ones, the ones that are good for your ego. And that's another thing. If a book has mostly 5-star reviews, others might think, they're all bought, or that's just family trying to plug the book. And I think that's one of the things that I have. I have an average of 5 stars on my books, and that's cool.
Congratulations.
I mean, it's also, I only have very few. The most reviews is my first short story, and it has 11. So it's just really my few fans, my handful of fans who will leave reviews. And so that's another one of those traps you can have with a review. If people happen to like your book, and they're I mean, I know those people, they don't do that because they like me. They read the book and they like it.
Right.
So they're honest reviews, but
there's the thing about reviews, right? Is that in the vast majority of cases, yes, you will get people who've bought reviews. Can't do anything about that. Yes, you will get trolls doing a drive-by on your book because they can. The vast majority of reviews are from people who had an opinion on a book and took the time to leave the review.
Exactly.
It might not be a useful review to you. It might be a terrible review, but they took the time to leave it. And so every review, I'm just like, that's just awesome, because I certainly know how many products I've bought from Amazon and not left reviews. So that somebody takes the time is great. And sites like Goodreads, which are just reviews on books.
Yes.
And I believe on average people have, it's much tougher to get 5 stars on Goodreads. That's a reader community, and they are very tough on reviews there. So that anybody takes time to leave a review there is awesome. That said, I know someone that I think I can just say her name because she posted this publicly. Elle Casey responds to every single review she gets.
Wow.
She reads it and she responds to it, good and bad. That's astonishing. And I'm not, it works for her.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, for the vast majority of us, don't do it. I would say the only thing worth doing there is if someone is really deeply in love with your stuff, then possibly contact them, see if they're interested in being a beta reader for something else. But in general, do not respond, because that's the way you get the authors behaving badly syndrome. If you haven't heard of this, go on the web search engine of your choice and type in authors behaving badly, and you will see some really astonishing behavior from authors who really ought to know better.
I think the only other instance where it's okay to answer is if there's a technical glitch and you can offer to give them a copy or something, and sort of, I mean, that's what I would do. Someone gives you a 1-star review because the download got blocked. I would say, I'm really sorry, and is there any way I can get a copy of the ebook to you? I think that would be an adequate response, and you could probably turn a disappointed reader into a fan with that. But this is because it's a technical issue. It's not a comment about the book. It's not a comment on quality. I think you really should not answer any of these. What I do is on Goodreads, you have the option of liking reviews, and I make a point of liking every review. I got my worst review on Goodreads, a 2-star one, and I like that, just to honor
I did not know
the time.
Yeah.
The person, the reader, put into writing the review. It's a long one. It's like I don't know, 4 paragraphs. So I liked it.
Yeah,
I mean, even though it was just 2 stars,
crazy.
but I liked it because I want to acknowledge this person's effort.
Yeah, but in general, it's, I find, a bad idea to engage with reviews, and it's a bad idea to talk about them in other places. And this is something I see on a lot of writers' boards, and a lot of writers' boards are public. Now, some I belong to are private, and you have to prove your bona fides to get in, but a lot of them are public. Anyone can join. And if you look at the stats for these boards, a lot more people are reading these boards than are participating. If you post about a horrible review you got and start making fun of that reviewer, trust me, it will get out. Someone will find it and say, did you hear what Jane Doe said about her reviewers, about the people who took the time to review her book? It does get around on reading sites like Goodreads, or even on other boards.
Yeah.
Now, so that's engaging with reviews. What do you do with reviews that you get?
I still read them all because I get like maybe 1 a month. So it's not as if I have to wade through tons of them. If they're good, I share them on Facebook, for example. I just say, wow, got a new great review, put the link, and that's it. And I thank the people who wrote it. But if there's one that I'm not happy with, I go to a safe place. I have my own little IRC chat room, and that's private. Nobody else can read it, and I have trusted friends of over a decade in there, and I can go and cry there.
Yeah.
Because I think you should talk about that. You should allow those emotions. That's my coach persona speaking. You should allow those emotions, because feedback does something to you, especially if it's a publicly visible review that says something like, it's a nice story, but this and this and this was lacking, and I really would have liked it much better if that and that. So that hurts. I mean, That's normal. It hurts because your darling, your product disappointed someone, so it's hurting you. And I believe you should talk about it, but choose the venue carefully, very carefully. Talk. Do not ever post on any public place. Do not post on a in a big group where you don't know everyone.
Don't post on your webpage.
For heaven's sake, no.
Oh, dear God.
Go to a safe place. Go to an offline place if you have it. I live alone. I don't have a support group at home.
Write in your journal?
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Vent in a safe place and let it go.
Now, that said, bad reviews aren't necessarily true. Good reviews aren't necessarily true.
Either, yeah.
You need to develop, as I've mentioned before, what Hemingway called the stuff detector, only he didn't call it that. You have to know when something's valuable and something isn't. And this goes for reviews. This goes for beta reader feedback. This goes for what your editor gives you. You have to know, is this valuable? Does this work for this product? Or is this, I see that they were having a problem with this character, but this isn't the solution.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I've definitely found this, is that the more things you have out there and the more reviews you get, the less impact any one review, either glowing or terrible, makes on you. You still feel something, trust me. But it's not like that one time when that was, when the only review on your book was a 3-star, Yeah, I've had those days. When there are more reviews, it's like, oh, okay. Another person took the time to leave a review. Thank you, person. And then move on. Because if you start thinking that the bad reviews necessarily make you a bad writer, you're going to think that the good reviews necessarily make you a good writer.
Yeah.
And one is not necessarily any more true than the other. You really, that was a big day. That was a big day in Diane's life when she said, you know what? I'll be in charge of whether this is working for my book or not. My internal, not critic, that's not the word I'm looking for. My internal bleep detector is pretty good at this point. I may not know why something is working or is not working in my book, but I have that feeling inside. I don't need to wait, for someone else to tell me. They might point something else out and I'll go, that does factor into this other thing I'm having a problem with, but yeah.
I think feedback is still quite valuable because, if you have like 4 or 5 beta readers and they all tell you something doesn't work for them, that should be a red alert. And it should make you think about the story. I think there are different levels of feedback, and the most important level is someone saying this didn't work for me. And again, this could be just this person's opinion, and it could be they were expecting something different, or they had never heard of a dragon story before, which has happened to me. But I think that moment when they say this did not work for me, this is important. This is something to look at and see if it is something in your story, or if it is just this person's experience as a reader. When they start suggesting things to fix the story, this is where you need to step back.
Right. The best way I ever had this explained to me was actually at USC, which is every person on the planet knows what a story is. They know when they're hearing a story. A much smaller percentage of people know that a story's gone wrong. A little tiny percentage of people know what's wrong and how to fix it. The vast majority of humanity has no clue. They will
And if I'm
suggest things. Or another way of putting it is, if someone tells you that there's something wrong with your story, listen to them. If they try to tell you what's wrong with it, thank them for their time and don't pay attention. If there's something wrong with the end of your story, it's at the beginning. It's not in the ending.
Yeah.
So it's a very complicated process.
It is. And I still think we need the feedback to be able to grow in our storytelling. We need, not, it's not a really good word. We need reactions from readers. I think that's what I really want to see. If someone tells me they couldn't put the story down, and my sister started reading one of my books the other day, and because I brought them with me when I visited her, and just before I was leaving, she said, you know, it's really hard to put your book down, and that means more to me than I liked your character, or there's not enough description in your book. It's that kind of reaction I want from my readers. I want them to get involved in the story, and it's more precious. It's better feedback than there's not enough description in your story.
Well, if someone says, I had trouble putting your book down, trust me, there's no greater compliment. If they say, I couldn't put your book down because I loved your description of stuff, just stop listening at, I couldn't put your book down. Because they might think that it's because of your description of stuff, when realize it's really, you know, how your character uses stuff. I mean, I don't know.
Whatever.
But, you know, it just, unless, and here's the thing, you have to learn what makes someone's feedback valuable. You know, if there's someone you talk to who always says, oh, your character is so mean to the grocery owner, she should really be nicer. Actually, there's a whole thing about why she's mean to the grocery owner, and thank you very much for your input. And I'll look at that, but I'm not going to make her nice to everybody.
Yeah.
You're the final arbiter of what feedback is valuable.
Yes.
This goes, what's over double? This goes several orders of magnitude for reviewers you don't know. Yeah. Who review your book. You know, they did, you know, you did this well, or you did this wrong.
And I think it may be something that women do more than men. I mean, you can probably hit me over the head for bringing this into it, but as girls, we're trained to please, and getting feedback that's critical could entice you to change the story around and change your character and make her more likable and make her polite and you know, bright and nice to the grocery store owner. But maybe that's not your character anymore. So this whole thing about standing in your power as author and standing in your power as creator of your characters, and not let that kind of feedback change your stories, because your story is your own.
Yeah. And, you know, you have to own when there's a book that I read that was the 6th or 7th book by this particular author that I had read. And there was a scene that was so unbelievably abhorrent in it that I closed the book, and I have never picked up anything else by that author.
That has happened to me as well, yes.
And I went on Amazon and I looked at the other reviews, particularly the critical ones, and every single one mentioned the same scene. And I said, okay, someone should have mentioned to this author, this scene had to be that important to this author to keep in, because somebody had to have mentioned this, that this was a deal killer.
I have stopped reading an author because of one single scene that was so horrible, and it didn't fit the tone of her books. and it didn't really, I don't think it did anything for the story, and I truly have not picked up any books by her anymore. And yeah, that's something that an editor, it was traditionally published. That is something an editor should have noticed and persuaded her to stop doing it. But
And
it got published.
If that was what she really wanted, then, she's the arbiter of what goes into her book.
Yes.
Yes. Now I'm curious as to whether we're talking about the same book or not.
I don't even know the title. I don't remember the title, but I do know the author, and I have basically given away all of the books.
So I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, yes, we want reviews, and yes, we want feedback, and we want to talk to beta readers.
Yes.
And we want to find a good editor who will push us and yet understand what we're doing with our books. Mm-hmm. So what do we do? And I thought about the book. I don't know if you've read this. It might not be over there. Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I love this book. I
haven't read it. I'm pretty sure it's available here.
I love all things by Brené Brown.
Yeah, she's great.
She's really fabulous. But this book is Daring Greatly about, stop doing that. I'm doing that horrible vocal thing that people have been talking about. In Brené Brown's work, she talks about gaining the courage to be vulnerable, to really tell people who you are, show them, take the lead. And what you get for that is a bunch of anonymous commenters on YouTube talking about, how fat you are. And
Great.
Yeah, so what she said is, if you don't get into the ring, I don't care what you have to say about anything. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm with her on that, because anonymous commenters will be the death of the internet. But the other thing is she goes, you have to pick who you trust. That's your job. If you're listening to every voice in the universe and letting it change you, don't do that. You have to pick who you trust. So she recommends a list of 5 to 7 names of people that she will listen to, and everyone else can go hang themselves. She might be interested in what a general consensus from her beta readers is, but any one is not going to completely affect her work. She has 5 to 7 people she will listen to. She carries that list around with her, and those are the ones who will make her stop and go, oh, okay. And I think that's really smart, because we have so many voices coming in at us these days.
And it means growing as, oh God, I don't even want to say that, but it means creating a group of beta readers that you trust, that you can work with, that you can that communicate well with you, and really honor and nurture them, and those are vital to an author, because we need honest feedback on books. We need to be told if there's a scene in them that will turn away readers. But you can't just take any old review and believe it, and you can't just take any old feedback and believe it. And yeah, there are trolls out there that just, they don't even read the books. They just diss it because it's a power play for them, and it has nothing to do with you. That's the other thing. That's again the coach talking. Those reviewers don't know you personally. They have read your book, and that's it. That's the window they have to you. Mm-hmm. And none of those reviews can be personal, because they only have read the book. They have never met you. They have never talked with you. Yeah. They don't know how you think about family, about social values. They don't know what you think about the weather. They have no idea who you are as a person. So they cannot speak about you as a person. And that is very important to really remember. They are talking about a book, and they're talking about their personal reaction to that story. And that's the filter you need to know, you need to have in place. They are not talking about you. Even if they have personal slurs in the review, they're not talking about you.
The other, and then there's, I was just thinking about that as you were talking about that from the other point of view, which is if someone comes to me for feedback, this took me years to figure out that I should do this. If someone comes to me for feedback, the first question out of my mouth needs to be, are you looking for feedback or are you looking for praise? Because a lot of writers don't want to hear that something isn't working. They want to hear that they're geniuses. I want to hear that I'm a genius.
Of course.
I think it was Noel Coward had a really funny saying about that. I'll have to look that one up. And again, you shouldn't be running around asking everyone in creation, read my thing, tell me what you think, unless you really want to hear.
Yes.
If you have asked somebody for feedback, however, at least understand that it might not be what you're looking for.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, you have to find people that you trust. You have to find people who want to work with you.
I've been thinking about this, and I think we mentioned Carol Dweck and her mindset book in Running Up podcast. And in your reaction to feedback totally depends also on which mindset you're in at the moment. And I think I mentioned that it's possible to switch between mindsets.
Yeah, the
so growth, as long as you're in,
it's the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And the fixed mindset says, this is all I have. This is all I can ever do. If you don't like it, then everything is bad. And the growth mindset says, oh, this isn't working. Okay, what can we do to make this better?
Exactly. So if you're in fixed mindset and you're actually looking for validation of your talent rather than for something to learn, then a bad review will devastate you, obviously, because it'll crush your imagination of your talent. And so it's really important to remember this. If you read a review and it sort of kills your day, take a step back and think, what was I looking for? Was I looking for validation or was I looking for feedback? And if you can make the switch from validation into feedback and then decide, well, maybe this feedback isn't really adequate and it doesn't really apply to the story anyway, then you've taken a huge step towards studying that behind you and not affect you. And I think that's a mature and important step to take. So yes, a bad review will kind of hit you in the stomach. That's what they do. That's part of writing life. But it's important to really take these steps and take yourself out of that mindset and really activate these self-defense mechanisms that says it's not about you. It's about the reader's experience, and is there anything valuable I can learn, or is there not?
Right. I mean, if you get 5 one-star reviews in a row that say the formatting on this is all messed up, I would take a look at the formatting.
Yes. And I would offer them a reformatted copy.
Yeah. Can you contact Amazon reviewers? I didn't think you could.
Well, you can answer through the review, and you can tell people, I'm sorry, thank you for letting me know, whatever, and here's my contact, go to my website and contact me and I'll send you a new copy or something. I mean, I think there are ways to initiate contact if they want it, but you can't, I don't think you can actually contact a reviewer or an author directly through Amazon. But I mean, there are tons of ways. You could tell people, go there, send me an email, and I'll take care of it. And I think they'll love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you get a review, thank the person for taking the time.
Yes.
Say, is there anything here that's useful? Whether there is or not, realize that the review is not you. And then close it and don't think about it anymore, good or bad. And it's funny. It took me a long time to go, no, I can understand needing to do that with the bad reviews, but the good reviews, I like to go back and read those. And it's like, that just, There was one review I read on my stuff that made me go, oh, wow, I need to look at that for my next book. Now the person won't like my next book because XYZ. And it's like, no, don't do that. The best medicine for good or bad for a review is to sit down and write something else. That is always the best course of action.
I think you can use good reviews as antidote if you have a really bad day. I mean, it probably works to pull out one of those 5-star reviews that praise you as author, but that's just, it's just sort of like temporary, like taking a pill. I think good reviews are useful in that kind of aspect, but again, you can't really rely on them. I mean, they
yeah, as well. I just think that as soon as somebody says that you're a super genius and everything you do is amazing, you are just cruising to go off a cliff.
yes.
Both in terms, if you put too much into the review, you're going to be like, well, everything I do is amazing. Never do this. But the other one is that other reviewers will look at that and go, well, I didn't think it was that amazing. And then they will be extra harsh on you.
Maybe, if I really, I mean, I only write reviews and I have really reviews, well, I rarely write one anyway, but I sometimes write a review for a book that I really enjoyed. And if I think, I want to tell people that I've accepted review copies once or twice and I realized it's not something I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means you're sort of obligated to write a review, and if you can't write a good one, that thing becomes a real problem. Because you want to be polite to the author who gifted you a copy, and you want to be honest to the readers who buy this. So this is a dreadful conundrum. So I sort of decided on a policy that I won't accept IRCs.
Amazon, they haven't deleted. I haven't left that many reviews on books. I had to have had a pretty severe reaction to a book to leave a review on it. But Amazon has a policy of not letting writers review other writers.
Yeah, that's, I mean,
I can Amazon all the reviews on MOPS that I want, but other books, it's not worth getting dinged by the Amazon, mallet to do. So I personally do not leave reviews on books.
Well,
but there are lots of readers out there who do.
Yeah,
thank you.
I do it, but rarely.
And I mean, I really can't emphasize this enough. Honestly, anyone who takes the time to put in to put in any effort at all, whether it's 2 sentences or a multiple paragraph or page review or analysis, really, from the bottom of my heart, really appreciate it. That said, only some people get to change my. This reminds me of one friend who asked me to give feedback on his screenplay, and I did, and I spent a long time on it. And he said, and it was not very glowing. I saw some real problems with it, and he said, "Oh, well, that was a pretty good academic look. Think I ever read anything by him again?"
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a huge range. You as the writer, you have to be in charge of how much you're going to let it affect you, and who's the most important. You have to do the ranking. All voices are not equal. And
if you actually ask for feedback, it's a really good idea to just sirens out there. I hope you don't hear them.
No.
It's a good idea to provide some questions, to just give your readers some guidance, some God, that makes me think of the Pirates of the Caribbean. But basically, just give them 4 or 5 questions so their attention follows the story, so that they know what you want feedback on. And I had a huge fight with a person. I gave them a story to read and said, I would like to know if there's any plot holes or logic mistakes and how the story flows. If there's any place where it kind of stops and takes you out. This person came back and started arguing grammar with me. And I said, that's not what I needed to hear. That's not what I was asking for.
Yeah.
The whole thing escalated. This person said, I'm never going to read a story by you again. And that hurt because he was a close friend. And so guidelines, if you want feedback, don't take it from a review.
Yeah.
Don't take it from a casual reader. Grow a stable beta readers and help them in their job by giving them a handful of questions. And that's the best way of creating feedback. That really is supportive.
Lead your readers.
Yes.
Tell them what you're looking for, and be the one to decide whether it's
absolutely
going, if somebody says this would be much better if the female character were the main character, and oh yes, if the entire thing were set during the French Revolution, this should not make you sit down and go, I wonder, could we set this during the Terror? No, that's not how it works.
I like to keep that in the back of my mind, and I like to go, that's an interesting story idea. It's not this story, but maybe I can do it next time around.
When someone, the vast majority of the time, and this is true even for people who are, that this is their job, like editors or script readers or whoever, if they point out there's a problem, there's probably a problem. If they point out what the problem is, maybe not. Your job as the writer is to figure it out.
Yeah.
And not to take what somebody else says as gospel. So,
exactly. So we're owning our stories, and we need to remember that. It's our story. We get to tell it the way we want to tell it. And yes, it helps to know if there's any place in the story where a reader isn't happy. But we have to decide how to fix it. Nobody else can do that for us.
Yes. So, okay, we've reached the end of another podcast. We did not discuss next week's episode, but we will discuss that in the off time. If you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review. It helps other people know that people are listening to this podcast, and it affects rankings and algorithms. That's welcome to the modern era, folks, despite what we've just been talking about. So we do not have a topic for next week. If you're interested in any announcements or special mailings or whatever, please join our mailing list. And there is a link to the list available on our blog at www.the21stcenturywriter.com. And that's 21st spelled with a 21 ST. For the 21st Century Writer podcast, my name is Diane Patterson.
And I am Hannah Steenbach.
And we hope to talk to you again next week. Tschüss.
Bye.
Bye. Where is my mouse? There it is.